Hey, welcome back to the C-Space studio here at CES 2026. We are here with Xperi's SVP and GM of Immersive Entertainment, a man who is no stranger to the C-Space studio, Jeff Jury. Welcome back to the C-Space studio for what we have determined is your fifth time.
That's right, and I expect a watch or something.
You're going to get a gold jacket next time.
Excellent.
You know, next year is our 10th anniversary of the C-Space studio, so when you come back for that, we'll have some kind of special celebration for you. But for now, let's get to business, Jeff, because we need to always understand and make sure for people who haven't seen the other four conversations, what is Xperi? What does it mean at the beginning of 2026?
Sure, so we're an entertainment technology company. So we have 1 foot in the content space and 1 foot in the technology space. And we bring that together to create immersive entertainment experiences in the home and in the car.
Yeah. So give me some examples of what that means.
So we have like the TiVo capability, which is a content aggregation service that allows you to more effectively get the content you want when you want it, in a video service and in an audio service. Yeah. We have immersive sound improvement capabilities. We have digital radio. We have a lot of technologies that when you're trying to enjoy something, we can make it with both metadata and with an experience, a much more dramatic participatory event.
So we know you love CES. What brings you specifically to CES 2026? What's your message? What's your goal here?
I really want to talk about how to seamlessly bring that entertainment together.
Okay.
In my case, a car, typically. Yeah. And today, there's a lot of content you can get in the car, but it's very fragmented. And how do you bring that together in a way that creates an experience that people say, hey, this is great, it's seamless, I don't have to worry about where this all comes from, and I can just enjoy it.
Okay, so how do you bring that together in a way that's seamless?
So that's where we bring in the technologies like I just mentioned, TiVo, our AutoStage DTS products, bring them all into the vehicle and allow the consumer to experience it all in a way that just like they are in their living room.
Yeah, and so the living room is an interesting analogy because in the living room I don't have to drive. Are you thinking about a self-driving future? Are you thinking about the passengers, or is this also for people that are driving a car, even manually?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's both. It's definitely for the passengers, and if you come to our booth, you'll actually see a Mercedes-Benz. They launched our service this year. We have a car there, and the screen is the entire front of the dash. Mm-hmm. The passenger can be doing one thing while the driver is doing something else. Yeah, and so I think that's the future of where this is going. And so whether it's the driver or the passenger or anyone in the rear seat, you can have different entertainment experiences in the vehicle.
And I guess you can imagine vehicles being designed in such a way that future-proofs it too, right? So it's like for now, if someone needs to, or maybe even in the future if it is mostly autonomous, but occasionally somebody wants to drive, the screen looks one way, maybe all the controls that you might need for driving a car, and then if you just want to sit back in the driver's seat, let the car drive you, you could be entertained.
That's right. And autonomy is going to come over time, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Right? So what we view this as a long progression, and as each step of autonomy hits the market, the amount of immersive experience you can have from an entertainment grows with it.
And just to be clear, are you doing the screen, or are you working with your partners in automotive to kind of be on the screens that they have, the hardware?
We're not in the hardware business.
Okay.
We're in the software business, or more appropriately, say the networking cloud-based service business.
Yeah.
And then we're using whatever the car company has adopted as their solution from a hardware perspective.
So it sounds like you're showcasing something cool here at CES, but then what are you learning from walking around and looking at what other automotive folks are doing? Because a lot of people at CES are showcasing things that maybe aren't here right now, but are the relatively near future, and that must give you some ideas for where this is going.
Yes, and clearly the autonomy is one of it. And we were just driving over here, there were some autonomous vehicles on the road, like taxi services.
Yep, we've seen those around.
So clearly that is where things are going. But while they're going there, there's this great opportunity for the consumer to just get a more immersive experience as the autonomy improves, but we're not at a full autonomy state.
I can't believe we've gone almost 5 minutes without saying the phrase AI here at CES.
I was holding off to not say it.
You're holding out, but let's get into it. So tell me about how AI is impacting your work in your business right now. And how do you frame that up?
Sure. I think from the perspective of how we use it internally, there's a lot of great applications of how we can use it for certifying products, and how we can use it for coding, and how we can use it to take things that are very repetitive and improve them and do them in a way without having a large staff around it. I think from the end product perspective, what we're looking at is how the car will adopt AI, and if you can envision this, you get in the car, you may want to make the car may recommend to you what you should do based on what you did the last two or three experiences. So I think AI shifts the car from something where you are telling it what to do when you get in the car, and more of an exception role where it's going to say, this is what you did the last several times you're in the car, we're going to do it this time, and then you'd have to say, well, no, I want to do something different.
Yeah, and I imagine that could also be based on time of day.
Absolutely.
Or the car obviously knows where it is, so if you're coming back from the grocery store versus your kid's soccer game versus other places, maybe you want different music or whatever like that.
Yeah, that's the example I always use, which you may listen to a certain amount of content driving somewhere, and you may want to do something different on the way back, or you may always stop at a certain favorite restaurant or fast food place. Yeah. The car would know that, the AI would have a version of that then you'd be managing it from exception, saying, I don't want to do that today, versus I have to tell it exactly what I want to do each time.
And how does voice play into all this? What's the latest with voice? And have we kind of reached a point where we're kind of there as far as the ability to control all this with our voices, or is there more to go?
I think we're sort of there, but there's always the opportunity to improve it. Where we work on that is with our metadata. So we try to create a much more contextual set of information so that when you ask to do something, it's clear. You know, the voice technology has to figure out what you mean, but then the car has to interpret that and take some action. And that interpretation is very dependent on the quality of the data behind the request.
Mm-hmm. I see. And so how much data do you have? Tell me a bit about the data that you're able to use and you're sitting on and that you're able to pull into these kind of decisions.
Well, we use a lot of the information related to, let's say, content. If it's music or if it's video, we have all the metadata about the song or the movie, where it was produced, where it was filmed. All this little bit of information, because you may not ask for it by song title or the name of the movie. You may ask for it by some phrase or some reference point you know from that movie. So all
even a feeling
or a feeling about it, you know, and all of that plays into this need to take that information, interpret it from the voice recognition, and then bring up recommendations to you.
We always like talking to you about podcasting and audio streaming. How are listening habits evolving? Where are we now, and where does that signal about where we're going?
Yeah, I think we're in an inflection point between an era of, let's say, podcasts that are 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and serialized in the TikTok world, where everyone wants everything in 1 minute segments. And in some cases, you're going to see this transition where these podcasts are become more snippet oriented, because that's what the consumer is used to in everything else they're doing.
Interesting. You know, I find that divide in myself. I do have a very short attention span. Usually I'm scrolling through things like everybody else. And then sometimes I want to watch like a 4-hour YouTube essay on some obscure topic that I just have an interest in. Right.
And I think that's true of the audience in general, which is when do you really want that long whole narrative? But in most cases, you just want to know what's going on and you just want these quick turnarounds.
Yeah. And so when you think about brands and how they're going to reach consumers in these vehicles, what are you talking about there, and what are you thinking about for how brands will be involved in that experience?
I think the brands have a lot to play in terms of what they want people to remember about them, in terms of the type of experience it is. Is it something quick? Is it something long form? I think that's really going to be the differentiation point, which is, where do you go for your quick snippets of information? Where do you go for your great long narratives about what's going on in the world?
And are you imagining a future, because I'm sure you think about this a lot, how much of the future are you imagining is continuing to be people owning their own cars and driving places themselves? And then how much of that is ride sharing, and how much, how do you think about how you play in that situation where cars are being shared by many people during the day?
I think ride sharing will grow, but people still want their cars when they want them. I think where this comes together today is with robo-taxis. And this idea that if you get into a taxi and you're offered this type of content I'm talking about, an immersive experience, how do you enjoy it and how do you personalize it? And I can see that's a clear case where you're going to see this all come together.
And it strikes me that in an era, if we can imagine a near future where all these autonomous problems get ironed out and you can just choose one autonomous vehicle over another, the in-car entertainment experience could be a real differentiator for which brand people choose to use.
It'll be the only differentiator. When you pick your ride share and it comes in, what's really going to matter to you is what you can do in that, sitting in the back of that car. You're not really going to care about, well, are those Goodyear tires, or who built the fender on this car. What really matters is that entertainment experience you're having.
Jeff, what's one milestone or exciting thing that you're looking forward to in 2026 to close out this conversation today?
Really looking for trying to create more of a seamless entertainment experience out there, and really working with the industry to make it something that the consumer just says, wow, this is where I want to spend my time. I don't want to spend it in the home, I don't want to spend it in the office, I want to spend it in the car.
More time in the car in 2026, and a more entertaining time at that. Jeff Jury, ex-Barry, thanks very much for joining us and bringing us those insights.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us. This is the C Space Studio. I'm James Kotecki. We're at CES 2026, and more conversations are just ahead. Don't go anywhere. Just going to take a short break. Be right back.